cancer. So, our body will manifest a condition of some sort if we keep pushing ourselves, So this isn't just about ME and chronic fatigue, it's also about preventing the conditions and raising an awareness that this is where it could lead people if they, don't make the changes they need to make in their lives.
Wow.
Kelly, can I just ask, out of interest, how long are you talking about till recovery when you get somebody coming to you that's in mid-suffering? How long is it individual, or is it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, no, that's a great question, and it really does depend on how long they've been suffering, to be honest. If you've had somebody suffering for 10 years or even 5 years, for example, their body has deteriorated to such a degree it will take a lot longer for them to get out the other side. If somebody's fairly newly diagnosed, our online program is a 9-month program, but often people will stay with us longer than that to get the support, because often there's a lot of emotional stuff, as you know, that you've worked through, that takes time to dig up, and as you dig up, it creates more awareness of other areas that need changing. But again, if your body has, if you've got, there's often candida and parasites and adrenal fatigue and thyroid issues and gut problems, and all of that takes a long time for your body to repair and heal. So I would say, probably no less than a year at least to really get somebody living a much more active life is generally what we've seen people through our program, is about a year.
It's funny actually how you mentioned the adrenal and the thyroid and everything, because that's how the symptoms manifest, isn't it? That's what they test you for, because that's what they think is packing up in the hospitals, and yet they all come back inconclusive, don't they? They just can't seem to.
Absolutely, yeah, they do, and that's one of the biggest challenges for those suffering, is that when the tests do come back as normal, the doctor just sends you home. Whereas what's often happening is that the thyroid hormone is going around your bloodstream, so the blood test is normal, but your body is not utilising it and absorbing it because of the gut problems and the parasites and all the other things. So that's where complementary practitioners and nutritional therapists that we work with test using different tests, not blood tests, so that they can test more accurately. So that's why we always get our clients working with nutritional therapists, because they work at a much more holistic way than GPs. Because you're right, that's what happened to me. I was diagnosed as underactive thyroid, and then when my test showed normal, it was fine. And actually, my adrenals were completely exhausted, and they don't even treat that, the GPs.
No, and I'm so glad to hear you say as well that, it takes time to work out what they need. I mean, I know that there's one process that I will remain nameless that, it guarantees cure within 48 hours, and I just think, oh my God, really?
Yeah, no, it is a challenge, and the thing with the Recovery Association is that we have created an alliance with all the people out there that do believe in recovery, and that process being one of them. However, we really talk about the complete holistic approach that's needed, which is why within the Chrysalis Effect we have a process that's similar to that, and why we have EFT and matrix people and people like that deal with the emotional aspect, but without dealing with the nutritional side. You can, you have to deal with that, because your body, is not just a mind or a body. They both need to be looked after, just as you know.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, I've heard the expression that your body will cure itself of most things given half a chance, but the trouble is we don't give it half a chance. And what, the nutrition, it's trying to run a car without fuel. Anyway, what you've been saying is extremely moving, actually, and what you've just clarified, Kelly, brings home to me that positive input can actually play a part in this, because part of what our aim is to do is to pick up people in the early stages of wiping themselves out, which can result in these conditions.
Absolutely.
And one thing which I'd like to say a couple of things. Firstly, it's our intention always after webinars to produce a fact sheet, just to place all the basic pieces of information and contact details on one piece of paper. But it can be longer than one piece of, an A4 pages. So I'd like to put the summary of the information that we put together about this, the practical things that you've talked about, And then also, Mark and I have discussed putting up a page for Alison and himself on the Positive Input website, but it can be much broader than just information about what they offer, because it's all. Well, I'd like to throw it open to anybody who wants to contribute to it, because information is the key, isn't it? The starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and I think it's really important for people to be able to access the information about recovery, which is what the association is about. You know, it's about making an awareness that recovery is possible, and it's great to, you know, have other people on tonight that really are talking about recovery and that it is possible, because, you know, it's any awareness week, and often they wheel out people in wheelchairs that have been ill for 20 years, and that is the message that is being sent out there, and it has to change, which is what the association, you know, aims to be able to do. So by next year, when the profile is raised, we're aiming to get TV coverage so that we can stop them doing that and getting the message out there all the time that people have to live with this, because they don't. They really don't.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you there. It's you know, it's time that people realise that they can start moving forward with this and get better.
Yeah, and you're living proof, you know, that you're nearly there, and you've come out the other side, and you can also see that yes, there was a lot of emotional issues, but there's a lot of physical stuff, and it's like people just really if they can start looking at the role that they play as well. It is about taking responsibility, and you know, you're talking about secondary gain, you know, and it is a challenge when you're really stuck in that place to see that. And I know for me I was bedbound for a period of time, and you know, it's a tough place to be, and that's why you do need the support. And you know, the fact that you've had Mark working with you has really made a difference. You know,
huge.
Yeah,
huge. And what's crazy is that I live in a world of counsellors, you know, of practitioners that are, you know, NHS trained, and none of them could help me. It was Mark that helped me with the EFT and with the matrix and with really going into that, and that really opened my eyes to the holistic approach. Really, really did change it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you need any help on the physical side with nutrition or anything like that, then we've got some practitioners that would be able to support you. Maybe give you the final piece of your puzzle to, you know, really allow.
Great.
Yeah,
that would be great. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'd like to feed into that I had an approach today from someone I know who wanted to talk about nutrition, who's unfortunately not available for this webinar. I shouldn't particularly want to talk about it, just wanted to open up the subject. So I'm delighted that you brought it up, because we can connect her up with both of you through the fact sheet and other contact lists. It's 9:10. I would like to stay on the line, Kelly, for the rest of the webinar, because some of the questions that we've got we'd appreciate your input as well. Well, let's start with the question now. I've an announcement to make. The lady who I told you about, who told me about her condition at its worst, is actually on the line, and she's given me permission to tell you who she is. Her name is Susie Sharple. She's a good friend of mine. I've known her probably getting on for 20 years. The question that she's asked is, it was actually two. How many people have you helped with your methods? Well, I think that applies to both. I'll let both of you answer the question, or all three of you contribute to the answer to questions. I mean, I suppose that really means is how much evidence have we got to show the people who are trying to not necessarily obstruct, not intentionally obstruct perhaps, but who are obstructing the spread of this knowledge and information. But how many people have you been able to help successfully? Who would like to have?
Do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Shall I go first? Mark and I, as you know, this is a very new project with Mark and I. Mark has helped me. We have a few clients that we're now working with on the program that we're getting positive results from. Again, we're on such early days. Probably Kelly would be better prepared because she's been up and running for 2 years. We've only sort of launched in the last couple of months. So, you know, to be honest with you, so I believe totally in what we're doing, but I can't, you know, give you any figures really at the moment.
Yeah, well, as we elicited earlier on, 2 years ago, this month you were flat on your back, so you haven't had time to do much.
Completely, yeah.
But you're all set, and I think this book is going to be a marvellous starting point.
What I'd add to that is that there are a number of people that I know that are EFT and matrix re-imprinting practitioners that themselves have recovered, and that they've all helped sort of dozens of people themselves. So there is evidence out there, but the thing that we're coming up against, and I'm sure that this is what Kelly's coming up against, is that to get that sort of thing past the NHS, they want actual studies in numbers and such like, and where there has been studies to prove that EFT works in the States, the numbers involved in those studies haven't been sufficient to take things forward with that. So it's difficulty when you've got a load of individual practitioners, all with a certain number of people that they've helped along their way, to actually sort of collate that information. But that information is being collated, and there is a study being done at the University of Stafford at the moment. So as soon as we get any figures out from them, we'll obviously pass them on via the website.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So, Kelly, I think probably what Susie's asking is how much evidence is there that we can demonstrate, both quantitative and qualitatively, for the workability of all this. In fact, well, what would you going to say, Kelly?
Okay, I was going to say, before I say that, one of the challenges for many practitioners is the rules that the ASA have put in, which is, you know, the Advertising Standards Agency. So when people have had great results, many practitioners are not allowed to say or use testimonials to say that they have helped somebody recover or that they treat certain conditions. Now, the ME Association is actually going to be looking at this and taking the Freedom of Speech Act, if it needs to court, because the fact that practitioners are being silenced to the fact that they can help with these conditions is ridiculous, and we actually believe that it's coming from the pharmaceutical industries, because the way the complementary world is going, people then might be spending the money in the pharmaceutical industry. So that's where we believe it's happening. So actually, when people can help others, they're being silenced to the fact, which means those that are suffering can't actually get the help that they need because they don't know that the practitioners can really help them. So this is a big challenge, and one the association is taking up. So I just wanted to point that out. But in terms of the chrysalis effect that we've been running for over 2 years, it's a challenging question to answer, because everybody has their own story and has suffered for a different amounts of time. So our definition of recovery, we have identified the 6 phases of recovery, and phase 6 is full recovery. Now, for us, we say somebody who has had a whole year that haven't had any relapses or hasn't had a bout of symptoms or crashed or anything like that for over a year is somebody who is fully recovered, that can live an active life doing what they love and can work and do, you know, all the things that they enjoy, and are often living their purpose and passion. Now, because we've run the program for 2 years, we have to have somebody who has gone through the program and then had a whole year in recovery. We're just coming to the point now that we've got a few people coming out the other side of that. So we've had, you know, over 100 people through the program, but having them had a whole year in recovery, we can't quite give all of those figures yet. But again, every single person is unique. The fact that we have got you know, endless recovery stories, the fact that we've recovered, the fact that there are, you know, thousands of people that have recovered is enough for people to recognise.
Tell me those numbers again. How many did you say?
We've got
hundreds.
We've got hundreds of people. Yeah, we've got over 100 people that have gone through the recovery program. But to say that somebody's fully recovered, we define that as somebody who has, you know, not experienced symptoms for over a year. So, you know, that's going to take time for us to be able to, you know, have all of those figures. But the fact that we've recovered and that we've got loads of recovery stories on our program, people can feel confident in the fact that recovery is possible, and that your journey, whoever you are and whatever you've been through, to know and believe that recovery is possible is half the battle.
Yeah.
You know, and you've heard a great story tonight, you know, 2-year journey.